NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday, February 14th, otherwise known as Valentine's Day out there for all those who love to love, you know. Shout out to Kevin Love, who's also on tonight's slate. I am James Grande, joined by Terrell Furman on today's Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook show. I know the intro said Jon Impemba, but, you know, we always have room for, the better version of, like, I like this duo better than, don't tell John I said that, but
this safe with me.
Yeah. What's going on, Terrell? Happy Wednesday. How's it going? How's your day been? I liked, I went to your Twitter profile like right before I hopped on, and I saw you retweet 2.5 Men with the Phoenix Suns logo. I thought that really turned my day from when I thought it was Friday to Wednesday. So that really put a joy back on my face after I had such a down hour. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah. Hearing that it's Wednesday when you thought it was Friday is actually sickening. And I'd hate that. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, because that's a terrible feeling to know that you still got 2 more work days of the week that you got to get through. But yeah, man, 2.5 Men. Shout out to 2.5 Men. Oh, and the Phoenix Suns. And we're going to see them in action today. And we're going to see 2 men, not the half, because the half only plays half the season. And we make jokes about Anthony Davis, but now we got to start talking about Bradley Beal being Professor Glass as well. 5 minutes in the last game last night. He's not playing tonight. Bradley Beal is out. Bump up your Phoenix Suns today.
Yeah, and I think a fun little tidbit there before we get into it. The Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker trio played more than James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant did in Brooklyn. Just throwing that out there. Barely. Nice. We got 12 games on the DraftKings main slate, 13 games on the FanDuel main slate. Of course, the 2 could not link up and include the Golden State and Los Angeles Clippers late night hammer. So we will be breaking down the 12 game slate. I see you in the chat, Drew. What's going on, brother? Happy Wednesday, not Friday, to you and everyone else that's joining. Make sure you smash that like button below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are almost, and by almost, I literally mean 2 subscribers away from 6,000 on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel. So please smash that subscribe button right now and get us to 6K. You know, $6,000. $6,000. I wish $6,000. 6,000 subscribers. Big deal to us. We appreciate everyone out there right now. So 12 games. What do we see on the Vegas front, Terrell? Anything really standing out to you with lines, with movement? What do we got going on today?
Yeah, on the Vegas front, it's a couple of things. The Atlanta Hawks are somehow laying points still, and I understand how poor this Charlotte Hornets team is. I completely understand it. But since after the trade deadline and after they got those new pieces in, they've won 2 straight games. And they played a lot better defense in that. They actually won against but against Memphis. Okay, you gave up 106 to Memphis. Cool. Gave up 102 to the Indiana Pacers, who are an incredible offense. And that was the lowest points total for the Pacers this season. Lowest points total for the season. And the Charlotte Hornets did that last game. If this Charlotte Hornets team is going to be playing defense, and we still believe that the Hawks, who have no defensive identity at all, going into this game and just going to let Charlotte shoot the ball wherever. And then you add the fact that not only are you down Clint Capella, but now you're down Onyeka and Kongwu for 7 to 10 days. So, hey, Bruno Fernando season. But I'm backing the rebounding for the Charlotte Hornets to be better. I'm backing the shooting for the Charlotte Hornets to be better. I'm backing the defense for the Charlotte Hornets to be better. I think this line is off. 7 points, 6.5 points. I think Charlotte can win this outright.
Yeah, and Atlanta's a terrible road team this year. So it is it's definitely interesting to see them getting 7.5. I'm also skeptical. We'll talk about some ownership in a few. You mentioned Bruno Fernando's name. He is very popular this year, and we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a few. I would say that is definitely something worth noting. There are a couple games with 240 plus totals. Indiana, Toronto, 245. 244.5 over on BetMGM. Indiana giving 3.5 to Toronto. We don't know the status of RJ Barrett in that game. We have 242 implied points in San Antonio, Dallas. Dallas 11.5 point home favorites in that one. The aforementioned Phoenix Suns are home on the second leg of a back-to-back, playing the Detroit Pistons also on a second leg of back-to-back. Phoenix giving 13.5 to Detroit. Interesting some Detroit news and notes. Cade Cunningham, we've seen this before. Second leg of a back-to-back, listed probable. If you remember the last second leg of a back-to-back, Cade was listed probable. He was scratched after lineup block. So keep that in the back of your mind heading into all those people with Detroit shares. We have 241 implied points in the Lakers-Utah game. 5.5 point spread in that one. Utah is giving 5.5 at home. And we already know no LeBron James in that game. We'll see about AD. He only had to play 27 minutes last night. And you spoke on it. You already spoke on his name. For what Anthony Davis has built as a reputation, we can throw that out the window because this man has played essentially every game this year. I think he's missed 3, and he's also in the top 5 in minutes per game. So salute to AD. I assume he's going to play tonight, but we'll obviously have to wait and see what the Lakers news is. Are you ready to get into the slate draw? Unless you had anything else to add on that.
No, I'm good. Let's go.
Let's start off at the point guard position. Again, there are 24 teams on this DraftKings main slate, so a lot to talk about. At the point guard position, we'll just break it down above 9K. We have Luka Doncic checking in at 12-1. He is probable to play. Whether or not he leaves games doesn't matter. He left this Washington game twice. Had quite an outing, 26, 15, 11, despite leaving and going to the locker room twice. For 2 different reasons, might I add. Still played 37 minutes because we know Luka doesn't come off the floor. Devin Booker, really slow start last night. Really picked it up in the second half. 1 assist shy of a double-double, 46 fantasy points. He's 9,800 without Bradley Beal. Donovan Mitchell, the now reigning, defending Eastern Conference Player of the Week, 97 in Chicago, a team that cannot defend the three-point line. Trae Young, 95. Jalen Brunson, 93. Tyrese Maxey, 9K. How are we breaking down this above 9K tier?
So, of course, I mean, you can't go wrong with any of these guys. It's just more preference, roster, ownership, salary, all of that. I'm going with my guy, hometown team, New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson, because that last game against the Toronto Raptors was a monstrosity to Jalen Brunson, and I think he deserves better. I don't think that any other star in the league is not getting the calls that he was getting. Well, not getting. So not getting the calls that he wasn't getting. They're probably getting foul calls there. He probably should have been to the line 16, 17 times rather than the 8 that he went in that last game. Like that was insane. The shooting was off because he was getting fouled, literally in the lane, getting fouled. And of course, the shot is missing and they're not calling it. And then I don't even know what to call that call at the end of the game. Yeah. I just feel like Jalen Brunson is due for some regression with the refs. We know he's a star. We know he's a hooper. The Knicks team is on the road. He's going to play almost every single minute in this game. Going into the All-Star break, which I think he's going to have a very, very good All-Star weekend. I'm backing Jalen Brunson today. I think that this is going to be a nice bounce-back game for him and the New York Knicks.
Yeah, and his offense may need to be even more elevated here with Bojan Bogdanovic listed on the injury report as well today. We don't know if Bojan's going to play. We already know DiVincenzo as well. He is also listed on the injury report, and there's an Achilles there. We've seen Isaiah Hartenstein try to return maybe a little too fast from the Achilles, and now it re-aggravated, and obviously that's never a good sign. So the Knicks are going to need to rely on Jalen Brunson a lot tonight. I like that. Getting the Magic on the second leg of a back-to-back as well. And
they're 2-8. They're 2-8 straight up on back-to-backs this season. Magic haven't been good in back-to-backs, and the fact that who's going to be on Brunson is probably going to be Jalen Suggs. Is that concerning? Yes, but I expect to see a lot of pick and roll. Honestly, I think they're going to live in the pick and roll today, and they're just going to keep forcing Suggs off of him, letting Brunson drive to the rim and really attack those bigs in the paint. So, yeah, I think Brunson's going to be in for a good day. I think he's going to have a lot of free throws, and it's all going to help.
Andrew, we got you.
Oh, well, there you go. just now from Underdog, Jalen Suggs groin ruled out Wednesday. Boost up your Jalen Brunson. We just talked about that. Breaking news as we talked about it. Jalen Suggs is ruled out. So now the stock is all the way up on Brunson. I think Brunson is close to 40, 50 points today.
That was very poetic. That was very poetic. That was like a perfect segue into Jalen Suggs. You knew that was going to happen. You're in cahoots with Underdog.
Perfect. It was perfect. I am in cahoots with Underdog. Hey, they do sponsor one of my shows, so
okay.
I might have planned this now.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Suggs is an elite on-ball defender, so that is obviously Orlando already has ruled out Gary Harris and also a very good perimeter defender, and they've ruled out Markelle Fultz. So their guard room tonight, Terrell, is now Cole Anthony, who is obviously not playing as many minutes because he can't defend. He only gets extended on nights where he really has it going offensively, as we've seen in recent days. Anthony Black, who, yeah, he's a big point guard, like a big point guard. But, I mean, this is the type of matchup Jalen Brunson feasts on. A rookie who has no idea about all the shifts and fakes and everything that Jalen Brunson has in his bag. This is an elite matchup now that Jalen Suggs was out. Not that it wasn't already, but obviously the Jalen Suggs news it changes the game. I think we should just stay right here and we can go back up. What do you make of Cole Anthony? $3,700. It's not the best spot. The Knicks are a slow-paced team. They're a good defensive team overall, but there is not a lot of guards in that room for Orlando. Cole Anthony, if he approaches anywhere close to 30 minutes, is not a $3,700 player.
Definitely not. And I think that if you look at this Knicks team, for the most part, they've kind of broken down a little bit defensively with the lack of rim protection that they've had, with the injuries that they've had, that some of these games have broken down defensively to where everybody was like, this Knicks defense is great, but OG goes out. You already know you don't have Mitchell Robinson. Then Hartstein goes down, and that's some more rim protection and just a body. Whether you think he's a great defender or not, the point is that you have a really large body in the paint that's able to at least challenge the shot. You don't have that anymore. So it's a whole bunch of defensive losses that the Knicks have right now where, hey, maybe Cole Anthony does get it going. Like maybe they say, all right, let's go ahead and attack these bigs and let's get Cole Anthony where he feels comfortable. So, yeah, I think $3,700, there's a lot worse plays than Cole Anthony.
Agreed. Let's go back to the top. I just figured why not we get to and just okay, we don't have to talk about Anthony Black yet, but I don't think either of us will have I don't think either of us will have much interest there, but we'll get into it at a different position. What about the 8K, 7K tier? We have Tyrese Halliburton, probably more of a fake questionable tag. He's been dealing with the left strain, the left hamstring management. Got to 34 minutes. I think that was a big surprise for me going into. I didn't think we would see that type of run pre-All-Star break. I thought coming out of the break would be a time where we get Halliburton extended, but really elite matchup. Toronto's defense has plummeted since the OG trade. We have under him, Kyrie's also 89, Scotty Barnes 87, potentially without no RJ Barrett. Jamal Murray unlikely to play, so you don't really have to worry about him. De'Aaron Fox coming off a monster performance. Kobe White, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, DeJounte Murray. What do we got with this 8K and 7K tier? And I didn't mean to exclude a couple guys bottom sevens because I think there's a lot of intrigue there for me at least.
Yeah, no. So I'm more interested in the bottom sevens than the top of the eights, honestly, truly. Like the only reason I have interest in Scotty Barnes is because I think this game is going to score over. And so Scotty Barnes has to have some type of role, but I love Halliburton. I think Halliburton could be in for one of those 13, 14 assist games today. Yep. And so I'm all over Halliburton. The pace is going to be quick, so hopefully he may be able to get a steal in there. That's going to add to the points total. Like I like Halliburton at the top of this list. Not too interested in Kyrie, especially with Luka in the game. Scotty Barnes, he gets the bump because I think it's a high-scoring game. De'Aaron Fox, last night he gave everything. Like this is just a fade of De'Aaron Fox doing it 2 nights in a row. 40 minutes last night. He shot 45% from the field, 41% from three, had 40 points? He had a 40 ball last night. And it was it was a lot. And that is the fate that I had of the Sacramento Kings today, is that I think that the Denver Nuggets just got them at a beautiful spot where they just coming off a back-to-back. They got to travel to Denver and play in altitude after going to war with the Suns before. So
Yeah.
I got to fade De'Aaron Fox just because of that. But the bottom half of the 700s, Tyler Hero against a poor Philly defense right now. Yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep.
I love that. Love Quickly today, even though he's been really bad recently. I'm still bought in on this over, so I think Quickly could benefit from that. So I don't know. I like the bottom half. I could even be talking D'Angelo Russell today, to be honest. So I prefer the bottom half of the tier way more than top half.
I agree on the Halliburton front. I think it is hard to ignore the price because he's a 10K player. Let's face facts. He's a 10K. He was a top 5 MVP candidate probably prior to his injury, just given everything that they've done to this point. And then obviously rushes back from injury and, the history, he had just been limited since. Scotty Barnes would obviously be interesting if RJ Barrett were to sit. I agree on the Fox front. There is no harder back-to-back in the NBA than going to Denver on the second leg. That's like there was a John always talks about it's the Utah to Denver back-to-back. That's not this as quite bad going from Phoenix. But again, they blew another lead last night to Phoenix. That was the second straight game and that's just deflating. In a game, the Fox goes for 40 and Sabonis had a 30-point triple-double with 18 rebounds, and you lose. And now you have to go face Jokic, who's now the current odds-on favorite to win MVP.
Good luck shaking that off.
Yeah, good. Yes, agreed. Tyler Hero, love the bounce-back spot opportunity here for him. It was Bam, Duncan Robinson, and Nikola Jovic night last night.
They didn't need him.
Salute to those three. But it's not lost upon me that Tyler Hero still leads this team in usage rate ahead of Bam Adebayo when Butler, Rozier, and Josh Richardson are off the floor. It's not lost on me that you already mentioned it, but Philly in the 7 games since Joel Embiid went down is 29th in defensive rating. 29th. There's 30 teams in the NBA. Adam Silver has not expanded the team to Las Vegas yet, so there's still 30 teams. The last I checked, they're 29th defensively. So I'm definitely interested in some Hero. There's shootout potential in that game. We saw what Miami's offense can look like with Bam as the hub and them spacing the floor around him last night. I actually do love D'Angelo Russell. And he has specifically been great when LeBron's been off the floor and he's playing with AD. Because it's a different type of flow for D'Lo. Where LeBron is a ball-dominant player, AD is he's still going to be in the post. But AD is a very good passer out of the post. He's a very good screener. And these aren't things. Do we have news? I saw that was the on Russell Westbrook on the Russell Westbrook face day where he got that stupid interview question. You just gave me the Russell Westbrook kind of what is the news that we just got from Underdog? Oh, it's the Orlando Magic starting lineup. Caleb Houston.
Anthony Black and Caleb Houston in the starting lineup.
They just do not. They're free Cole Anthony, dude. Free Cole Anthony. They will just not play Cole Anthony no matter what.
Yeah.
Poor guy. We'll get into the other Magic at a later position because but D'Lo, back to D'Lo again. He's been a great pairing with Anthony Davis this year. We just saw this matchup in mid-January, and if you remember in that game, LeBron sat, AD played. AD did go like 4 of 20 in that game, but he triple-doubled. D'Lo had 39.
Yeah.
39, and he had 62 DraftKings points. He averages just under 1.3 fantasy points per minute without LeBron James on the floor this year. I'm all in on D'Angelo Russell. Like, I get it. 31 minutes. Dinwiddie played 31 minutes last night. But Darvin Ham came out and said that he's willing to play all 3 guards together. So, like, it's pretty much set in stone that there's not I don't think Russell's going to lose much time, if any, to Spencer Dinwiddie, especially if they go to this 3-guard lineup, especially without LeBron. So, I am in the utmost thinking that D'Angelo Russell has a ceiling game tonight. Under 7K. Let's just spitball some names under 7K at the point guard position that are catching your eye. There's Austin Reeves. There's Jaden Ivey, Amen Thompson is here at 6,500. What do you got under 7K here?
I like Devin Vassell going
Yes.
up against Dallas. I think that's a pretty solid matchup. Now, slightly concerned. So this is a like, not a love, because Dallas has been better defensively recently. But if we just think about the backcourt and Luka and Kyrie Irving, and I mean, we'll see about the rim protection, but Devin Vassell really doesn't have to slash to the rim. Like, he really can shake and bake, get to his spot in the mid range, and be able to cook. He scores from all three levels, and so that's one of my guys. I'm very, very high on Devin Vassell and truly believe that if he was on a championship contender, he would be in a 6-man of the year or something like that conversation. So Devin Vassell, big on him. And I think that's really in that 6K tier, kind of where I lean. It's a little bit more on Devin Vassell, but not the best tier. Cade Cunningham looks like he's going to play, so a little bit of a downgrade to Jaden Ivey here.
Agreed. I'm happy you did say looks like he's going to play, because that is never confirmed with the Detroit Pistons on a back-to-back. We just saw that not too long ago. So as of right now, Cade Cunningham is listed probable. Let's get to the chat a little bit. OS, stay put. We'll talk about Jokic when we get to the center position. He is the cover of my playbook over on FantasyAlarm.com today, so I personally don't. I probably won't be fading him, but we'll talk about that when we get to center. 420 with me, talking about something up your alley here, Tro. How about the Knicks, Heat, Lakers, Clippers money lines tonight? All underdogs. What do you think of those? What do you think of that? Knicks, Heat, I like Lakers, Clippers.
I like the Knicks. The Heat game against 76ers, I think, can go either way. The Heat as dogs are just a system play, so I wouldn't be mad at anybody for taking the Heat. I absolutely hate the Lakers. I think that you should absolutely bet Utah -5.5. That is one of my best bets for the day. Lakers plus travel, going to altitude in Utah against a Utah team that already gives them troubles. No LeBron James. I think Utah is going to bury the Lakers tonight on a back-to-back. So, and then the Clippers, it's no Kawhi Leonard. It's hard to take Clippers without Kawhi Leonard. I got to see what this team looks like without Kawhi Leonard, because they've been 2-2 this season without him in the lineup. So I'm not really feeling the Clippers. The underdogs, you didn't even say the two underdogs that I like the most, which is crazy. I like the Pistons and the Hornets. Those are the two underdogs I love the most, the Pistons and the Hornets. And the Wizards. Forgot to throw the Wizards in there.
To the Wizards, who have been really good under Brian O'Keefe. Shout out to Brian O'Keefe for changing the culture there. They've been good defensively.
Defense has been good. They've been covering games. I mean, if I sat here and we had a money line round robin between the Wizards, the Pistons, and the Hornets, that's going to pay you insane. And I think you have a pretty good chance of getting 2 of those wins, because you have Phoenix, who just came off a crazy game last night where, hey, we've seen these Phoenix back-to-back injury reports. Sometimes these guys sit late in the day. If you get a good number with the Pistons now, and you get a Phoenix team that is uninterested with a terrible bench, I don't know. The Pistons might be in it. They beat the Kings on the road. It's like 13-point underdogs recently, so I think the Pistons could do it. I told you I think that Hawks team sucks. So those are the underdogs that I really, really like tonight, but I definitely am on the Knicks as well. And I'm kind of looking at the Heat. I haven't gotten there yet.
What's good with you, Mr. Polo Cash, a.k.a. Hidden Dart? Salute to you, always in the chat. Andrew asking about the Memphis guards. I mean, we know there's no Scottie Pippen. We don't know if Derrick Rose is going to play. Either way, like, I assume Jacob Gilyard, who was inactive last game, is inserted back into the starting lineup. Minimal role. I think there's better value out there than Jacob Gilyard. So Memphis in general is just really, really hard to like peg as I think it's under game. Yeah, game is. I mean, Houston. First off, Houston's a terrible, 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 terrible. I can't preface that word enough. Road team. Terrible on the road. They cannot play basketball away from Houston. There are reports Jordan Goodwin is available to play. Now, it wouldn't even shock me if Jordan Goodwin started in that game. He is only available on FanDuel. He's not available on DraftKings. He's 3,800. If Jordan Goodwin were to start, I wouldn't hate the play, but not like
I'll
a
say
primary
this: I
strength.
prefer in that tier range. I prefer Cole Anthony over all of those guys.
Agreed. Fully agree. And on DraftKings, and we could just spitball a couple of value point guards here. I love Tre Mann. I love the usage for Tre Mann in the last 2 games. I have already publicly tweeted, please shut down LaMelo Ball for the year and let Tre Mann cook. Former first round pick. I mean, they're calling it like tendonitis basically in LaMelo Ball's ankle.
Yep.
That's not what it was, right? And now it's shifted to tendonitis. What is the point of worsening that injury when Charlotte's as bad as they are? See what you got in Tre Mann. Almost back-to-back double-doubles, fell 1 assist, 1 point, 1 rebound shy in back-to-back games. 27 to 34 minute jump in the last 2. And you've already talked about it. Atlanta is not a good team. They're bad on the road. They're bad defensively. They're a very, very fast-paced team, and Charlotte is not. So this is a really good pace environment for Charlotte. Tre Mann at 5K is one of my favorite plays. He's actually even the cover boy of this show. I like Tre Mann so much, I cover boyed him on this show today. So I'd rather get the Tre Mann. Is there any other? I guess we have to talk about probably Keontae George, right? $4,200 starting.
Yeah.
Will Hardy has already publicly said, like, it's Keontae George time. Obviously, he was terrible in the Golden State game. We know
This is a better matchup.
Yeah, this is a better matchup. And I will say, like, Will Hardy has been very fluid with minutes all year long. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case with Keontae George. We're just going to get Keontae George development season for the rest of the year, and I'm here for that at $4,200.
Yeah, 100%. I'm down all the way down, and it opens it up. And you saw it with the Abaji trade that they were trying to make the room with the Abaji and Olynyk. Honestly, they were trying to make room for Keontae George and Walker Kessler. They wanted to give those guys more minutes. They want them to have more of a role in this team and shipped over to those guys. So yeah, I'm all over Keontae George. I think Keontae George can have a pretty solid day in that backcourt against the Lakers.
Des, what's going on, brother? And Steph against the Clippers, solid. He's been really good lately. Warriors look really good. So I have no problem getting Steph. 9,800.
Steph Curry.
Yeah, Steph Curry. He looks like Steph Curry again. Like peak Steph Curry again. Shooting guard position. I think there's obviously merits to getting to Booker. I think if Darius Garland, who's a non-COVID illness tonight, if he sits, Donovan Mitchell, obviously Point Donnie is as good as anybody in the NBA right now. We have Kyrie. We've already talked about Brandon Ingram, new face at the shooting guard position. What do we like here at shooting guard, Terrell?
I mean,
you don't have to say any of them.
It's at the top. I mean, I'm not gonna fade any of the guys like Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker. I'm not gonna fade those 2 guys at the top. Yep. So if you're telling me that you want to add those guys in your lineup and you want to build a lineup around them, I think that's a really solid play, especially expecting points in that Phoenix and Detroit game. So I think Devin Booker, obviously, Donovan Mitchell, obviously, nothing I really, really love yet, but these are all very, very good plays.
Yeah, I think the love is, again, Tyler Hero at 72, someone we've talked about. Austin Reeves is a guy I think we can definitely get to without LeBron. 6,900, nice. A really good matchup against Utah. 7 straight games for Austin Reeves, over 32 fantasy points, and 6 of 7 over 36 fantasy points. He's starting to look like that kind of do-it-all guy that he kind of bursts on the scene as, where earlier in the year, it was like trying to figure out how to deal with playing big minutes next to LeBron and next to AD and next to D'Angelo Russell. So I like where Reeves' role has been. I like the production without LeBron. What about this lower 6K tier? I love my boy Lunch Pail Vince Williams. Like, just guy just clocks in and
That's
out.
My guy, VCU grad.
Oh, okay. I mean, dude,
shout out to the VCU Rams.
Dude, he is so like clocks in, very good. Like does his job, work. Clocks out, gets home, comes back the next day, and does it all again.
Who's that talking about? Memphis guards. That's the one. If it's anyone, it's him.
It's Vince Williams. Agreed. Andrew, there's your question. There's your question answered. Vince Williams would be the answer. $6,200. I'm okay getting to Hield or Oubre. We know no Tobias Harris tonight. Obviously, no Joel Embiid. Hield's role has been fantastic with Philly. Hey, look at that. Nick Nurse playing guys big minutes.
Yep.
What a shocker
Who
there.
would have thought?
Yeah,
Not
who would have
me.
thought? Yeah, who would have thought? Nick Nurse has a new toy and just starts playing him as much as he possibly can until he eventually breaks down, right? So if you want to get to Hield or Oubre, I think both are in for big minutes as long as that game stays competitive. And then we get below 5K. I think there's a couple similar looking plays to me in Jordan Clarkson and Malik Monk. Now, I am as big a fan as Malik Monk as anyone else. I love Malik Monk. I cannot wait till he gets paid this offseason, wherever he ends up. And he's when he goes on stretches like this, I'm all in on Malik Monk because he is one of those streaky players where, and I understand we both said it, very tough back-to-back in Denver.
Yep.
But Malik Monk is a hooper. Through and through, doesn't care. Playing basketball is what he just does. He talks a lot of shit when he's out there. You can see that he's having more fun than everybody else when he's out there. And I think those types of players with high energy are the best candidates for big nights on back-to-backs. And it just so happens that he's scoring big points. I mean, 20 plus in 4 straight in 6 of 7, 18 plus of 7 straight, coming off 37, 41, 31, 50 fantasy points over his last 4 games. And oh, by the way, his price went down $200. So I think Malik Monk is a viable option. But Jordan Clarkson, if you'd rather a guy not on a back-to-back in a great matchup, there's a revenge narrative obviously here with Clarkson against the Lakers.
He has good matchups against the Lakers too, man.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
He's put up 20 he's put up 20 plus points in 3 of the last 4 against the Lakers. All of those 29 minutes, 31 minutes, he had 21, 22, 20. Even the game before that, he had 19 and 29 minutes. He's gotten so much of a bigger and more defined role in Utah this year, where it's not just like, hey, we got Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench. This is a nice bench guy. Oh, potential 6th man of the year candidate. No, he's getting consistent minutes night in, night out into the 30s. Like, I think Jordan Clarkson, with the role that he has in the offense of being the guy coming off the bench and running that unit and then still having the trust when he plays with the starters. I love Jordan Clarkson against the Lakers today. This is one that I would definitely target.
Some interesting news across the wire here, Terrell. Kyle Kuzma listed out. I know he was a midday downgrade with the illness. What does that do for you? I mean, we're at shooting guard. I assume, and I think this is what everyone will assume, and Bilal Coulibaly just is your immediate starting plug.
I have him on my phone right now.
He's been the guy that has generally, because he can guard so many positions, and that's, I mean, he is an elite on-ball defender at 19 years old, which is crazy. But any interest in Coulibaly at 42 now that we assume he's going to start?
Yeah, I prefer Coulibaly at 42 than Jordan Poole at 54.
Oh,
I'll say that. I say that. Like, you look at his production when he's getting over 30 plus minutes the past few games. 33 minutes, he had 40.5 fantasy points. 37 minutes, he had 33 fantasy points. 31, 31, 22, 23. Like, you're getting this guy for the bottom of the barrel nothing, and he's essentially guaranteed 20 with the max floor of 40 with the minutes played. Again, like against the Pelicans team that I think everybody's just kind of iffy on. They're good sometimes, they're bad other times. This Washington team has been competitive, and that's what I'm trying to remind everybody. This Washington team has been so competitive. If Coulibaly starts, I think that he's going to get the minutes and they're going to be in it for the entirety of the game. It's not going to be a portion where he's sitting the fourth quarter. So, yeah, I'm all over Coulibaly here.
Yeah, and this isn't a spot we have to worry about first team all defense Herb Jones. So Herb's going to be on Tyus or Poole or the combination of both them on a combination of both them on one possession because that's what Herb's a psychopath and can do that. So I like Coulibaly 42. I also think we have to talk about Duncan Robinson last night. I mean, I know it's a back-to-back, but great matchup against Philly. Coming off the game that he had, he was like the primary ball handler last night in pick and rolls and dribble handoffs and stuff. And 4,400 is still too cheap. He's figuring to be very popular again? Are we going back to the Duncan Robinson well at 4,400?
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. Especially again, the defense for Philly's been really, really bad since Joel Embiid went out. Really, really bad. I expect this to be an over game. I can't get mad at anybody playing any of those plays. So yeah, I think Duncan Robinson in that 4,400 range is a good look. I'm trying to get there on Marcus Sasser, man. I just think he should be in for more of a workload. I would if they do somehow, some way make Cade a last second out or scratch, then that would just boost Sasser up for me. But just already, he gets the attempts. Like he gets the attempts when they put him into the lineup. In the past 3 games, he's had double-digit shot attempts, and that means a lot. He's a really good defender coming over from Houston. And so I think that Marcus Sasser really could be interesting in this game with the fact that, hey, if it's a blowout, he probably plays more minutes. If it's not, I don't think that really does anything for his minutes as well either. And he's going to play defense.
A couple more names, and we'll move on to small forward. Only reason I'm bringing up Alec Burks' name is we just got Knicks news. No Bojan Bogdanovic, no Isaiah Hartenstein, no Dante DiVincenzo today. All ruled out. So we could see Alec Burks potentially into the starting lineup here, $4,800 with no DiVincenzo. Maybe they even go. Maybe they
with that lineup. With that lineup, Burks is definitely a value. He could start. Like if they said he was starting, I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't either, because I would assume they still want to bring Deuce McBride off the bench and stagger him and Jalen Brunson, right? And then you could play them alongside one another at some point. But I assume McBride is still your backup point guard, and then you just get the Hart, Precious Achiuwa, Jericho Sims starting 5 that you got.
I honestly don't think it matters. Both of these with those injuries and with Tibbs, both of these guys are playing 30 plus.
They're playing 30 plus. You're absolutely correct. So if you want to get to McBride or Alec Burks, by all means. I think Phoenix starts Eric Gordon tonight. Maybe they start Royce O'Neal. We'll see. But if Gordon starts, $4,700, pretty good value. Let's head to small forward, where Jason Tatum resides. He broke the slate last night, 31 actual at half, ended with 41 and 75 DraftKings points. He is still 9,600, same exact matchup as it was yesterday. Sans Ben Simmons, so boost for Tatum to avoid the Ben Simmons defense at any point. We have Miles Bridges, $8,800. He has looked really good alongside Tre Mann on the court. Scotty Barnes, $8,700. Lauri Markkanen, $8,200. Brandon Ingram, $8,100. Anything that stands out to you above 8K, or are you more so looking into this like mid-tier value range at small forward?
No, I'm over Lauri. I think Lauri Markkanen's going to have a really good game here today. And again, I'm just fading this Lakers team who played last night, and now they're going in altitude the next day. And I think we talked about it earlier. Denver and Utah, very, very tough places to go try and play a back-to-back. Very, very tough. So much so that LeBron James isn't even playing in this game. You look at him, he's had some really, really solid games against the Lakers in the past, 29-9. Yeah, there's a 10-8 in 23 minutes, but 23-3, 27-13, 18-9. Like he's been able to put up some pretty solid numbers. I think that he's going to be able to crash the boards, get those rebounds, be able to maybe a block or two. He's got actually a block in 3 of the last 4 games against this Lakers team. So that's going in your favor. We know he's going to be able to score, and I know he's going to be able to score tonight on the Lakers. That's probably going to be where he gets majority of his points. I'm back in the Jazz today. I told you earlier, I like the Jazz minus 5.5 as one of my favorite plays in the day. I'm going to bet Jordan Clarkson. I'm going to bet Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah, Markkanen has a very high ceiling. We just need this version of Lauri Markkanen to show up, 33-11. Dwayne with a 2-parter here. Hello, everyone. I went against the chalk, so I'm assuming Miami, and got smashed yesterday. The second part of his message. Now, today is the day I smashed.
You went against the chalk.
Yeah,
if you went against the chalk, you should have won pretty nicely because everybody, and I mean everybody, was on the Pistons yesterday.
Yeah. Well, Miami checked in really popular yesterday. And, you know, they were pretty good. Like I did get a low on Bam. Tyler Hero was 70% owned yesterday. Duncan Robinson was 60% owned. He went for a jillion fantasy points. So I'm assuming Dwayne faded Miami as well in that early window, and that hurt. But he also said, join me in the smashing pause. Dwayne, it's a great day, bro. It's Valentine's Day. Get your smashing on, you know? It's great. Love, Dwayne.
Love the smash. And it's hump day.
No, it's sad because I thought it was Friday. Don't remind me. Let's continue down small forward. Let's move down small forward. Franz Wagner, $7,200. Still think that's too cheap. Don't know who the Knicks are going to really throw at him with. I mean, it's going to be Josh Hart, most likely, just given their lineup construction here. But good matchup for Franz at 72. Don't love that Brandon Miller can't stay out of foul trouble, but here we are, 7,100. It's a great matchup against Atlanta. Dude, no Kuzma, Denny Avdia.
Yo, he's a double machine.
Dude, he's been a monster lately.
I try to tell people, like, he's one of those guys that just every point in the season, he just wakes up rebounding the basketball, remembers that's a focus of his, and he just turns on doubles out of nowhere. Yeah, I think this is a great matchup for Denny Avdia today.
Yep. If you think that this game can stay competitive, possibly the chance. I think the Zion tag is fake, but if Zion sits, like, obviously that's even better for Denny, not having to guard Zion at any point tonight. So 6,400, 34, 39, 42 minutes. That's something that had not been there for Denny until Brian O'Keefe showed up. So great to see the minutes and the production following. No Kyle Kuzma tonight. Lenny, love Denny Avdia if that game can stay competitive. Josh Hart, 6,300. I mean, the Knicks, all he does is complain about playing 40 minutes, and then he plays 40 minutes. So assume that Josh Hart is once again going to play 40 minutes. He is guaranteed. Just pencil him in for 10-plus rebounds. It's just what happens after that is your value because he's 6,300. If he actually makes shots, which he has not done a lot this year, then he'll end up smashing. And if he doesn't, well, you get the 25 fantasy points at 6,300, and that hurts your pocket. So depending on what version of Josh Hart, the scorer, shows up tonight will depend on his output. What do you think of Michael Porter Jr. getting Sacramento, second leg of a back-to-back? No Jamal Murray, no Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Any interest in Porter at 62?
Yeah, I do. And because I think the scoring is going to be on. I think that you're just going to forego defense in this one. The Kings, while they are on the travel spot and it's a pretty bad spot, I mean, I think they're going to just pour in and try to pour in points, and it'll be whether the ball goes in the basket or not. But for the Denver Nuggets, I think that they're going to take advantage of the poor defense that the Kings have right now. Michael Porter Jr., a little bit of a mismatch there in terms of his height and his ability to shoot the basketball, that if he gets to his spot, I really don't think anybody should slow him down. The only thing I'm concerned is that if Aaron Gordon is just backdoor cut king and they just continue to do that with him today. But other than that, I think Michael Porter Jr. has a pretty good day.
Yeah, Gordon actually $100 cheaper. We'll get to him at power forward in just 1 second. 5K range. Anything stand out? I like the Keldon minutes a little bit more lately, 28 and 30.
Well, I got one more for 6K. I got one more. It's right there at 6K on the dot. Sadiq Bey. Look at his past few games and what he's been doing in terms of fantasy points. And now you're telling me that there's no Onyeka Okongwu. Maybe Bruno Fernando is the answer, and we'll talk about Bruno in a second. Maybe he is the answer, and he does a lot of the rebounding. But Sadiq Bey has been heavy on the glass for this team. Looking at his past few games, 5, 6, 11, 9. He's got multiple double-doubles here in his past 10 games. He's got an 8-rebound game, a 9-rebound game in there. And you look at the fantasy points, last 5 games in fantasy points, 21.8, 41.5, 37.8, 41.8, 27.3. Like, he's been pretty good. He's got an opportunity. And you're telling me no Okongwu. I think the rebounds are going to be more open on this team, where it could be a Jalen Johnson. It could be a Bruno Fernando. It could be a Sadiq Bey. Shoot, maybe we get a DeJounte Murray triple-double type game with rebounds. Like, I think the rebounds are going to go around for the Atlanta Hawks, and it's going to be, quote-unquote, rebound by committee. So, yeah, I think Sadiq Bey, I'm going to take my shot on him at 6K.
Yeah, I think, and we could just get into it now, I do think Fernando starts. Yeah. I don't think there's a scenario where he closes this game. I don't think there's a singular scenario where he closes and it's Jalen Johnson's closing at the 5, where it's Tre, DeJounte, Jalen Johnson, Sadiq Bey, and one of DeAndre Hunter or Bogdan. It's just depending on which of the two is playing better. Which is, to your point, I mean, Sadiq is going in that scenario, has to crash to the glass as much as he has, if not more, without a traditional center. So I do think Sadiq Bey is going to continue playing monster minutes. Just didn't make shots last game, didn't do enough to get there, but had been on a little bit of a heater in the 3 games prior, 41, 37, 41 fantasy points. So I'm with you on the Sadiq Bey front. Didn't mean to skip over him. Just so many names. There's just
many names.
What else do we got at small forward? Anything else to you like specifically stand out? Whether it's 5K, whether it's under, like what do we got? The rest of small forward position.
Let's see here. Looking at some value plays. Rui Hachimura is interesting with no LeBron. We've seen him kind of come up big. And again, I think there's going to be points in that Utah game. It's kind of trended how these two teams have played each other for the most part. It's always been points. And I got to point my guy out, especially because recently he's come under fire. CJ Stroud pointing out how he gave him 40.
I know, dude.
Amy Jaquez Jr., you got to go out there and get your face back because football player gave you 40 in high school. I know it was a long time ago, but now everybody's talking about it and publicity. Everybody's talking about it. You got to get the last word. Go have a great game tonight. Amy Jaquez Jr.
Yeah, and he was trending towards like mid-30s minutes despite coming off the bench, but obviously the blowout was a factor and he lost out a bunch of time at the end of that game. That it does bring us to a question that we have about Miami from our boy Cracker Jack, basically talking about Jovic starting last night, and I did the same thing. I pivoted to Nikola Jovic last night as well. But the question is, with Cole Anthony not starting, does that impact how much you like him? What say you, Tre? Like, how would you assess Cole Anthony, specifically DFS related, without him starting?
I don't think it really means too much because he can still get 30 minutes coming off of the bench. Like at the point, it doesn't matter if you're starting or not. We want the total minutes, and that total minutes you want to get as close, if not over 30 as possible. And it seems like with that lineup, it honestly just seems like they're kind of trying it out with Caleb Houston, and they're trying it out with Anthony Black, and they're trying to commit to slowing down Jalen Brunson. And they're saying, well, we were going to use Suggs. Now we don't have Suggs. So we're going to throw out Anthony Black out there, who we drafted because of his defense. We're going to throw out Caleb Houston there, who is a long body, has a lot of length. We're going to try to throw different looks at him. And so we'll see. He could very much start torching them. And then they just decide, all right, well, we can't stop him. If you can't beat him, join him. So we're just going to throw our other high-scoring guard out there that can hopefully go out there and match him point for point. So, yeah, I still like Cole Anthony today. Is it a little, depressing he's not in the starting lineup? Yes, but I don't think that's a total L for him. Like, I think he could still have a nice day off the bench.
Yeah, he also just hasn't started this year. Like, they've just been comfortable no matter what, keeping him. This has been the traditional, their traditional way. I thought maybe because they are down so many guards that maybe we do see him enter the starting lineup, but it has been the case where Anthony Black starts, plays around 20 minutes of like just getting his cardio in and then moving on to Cole Anthony for more. So I like Cole Anthony. I'll just fireball Corey Kispert's name out there, 4,400. He's been really good shooting the basketball. That is what he is. He also had just an absurd game against Boston peripherally, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. I don't think we can expect that again, but no Kuzma. I expect Kispert to be extended a little bit here. We mentioned Koulibaly, also small forward eligibility. I like Royce O'Neal tonight, whether he starts, whether he doesn't. We saw him close last night, 30 minutes. Phoenix experimented with that Durant at the 5 for most of the fourth quarter last night. They did go to Nurkic for a small stretch, but I do like $3,800 Royce O'Neal. Let's shift to power forward, where Kevin Durant is 9,900. There's no Bradley Beal, but dude, why is Victor Wembanyama still 9,200? Like, can we just get this over with? I understand that he's on a minutes limit. I get it. Whatever you want to talk about, like, oh well, he's only. Just move it to 10K and just make someone think about it, because at 9,200. If you're telling me that is the ceiling on a guy with 30-minute upside or just a 30-minute floor, what happens if he comes out and plays 35 minutes tonight and Pop's just like, oh, forgot to tell you guys, that we lifted the cap on Wemby and he's not capped moving forward. Like, obviously, I think that's post All-Star break, but can we just get it over with? They had 10 blocks.
And what if he just says? What if he says you're about to have a long break? You're about to have a long break. Why not just throw you out there for 35 minutes? It's not like you got a game in the next week.
Why is he 9,200? That's all I got for everybody here. I am definitely high on Victor Wembanyama this evening. What else do you like at power forward here, Terrell? Paolo's 83. We've talked about Markkanen. Triple J is $8,100. We know he's going to take a lot of shots, and Houston's bad on the road. What else do we got here at power forward?
Oh no, I'm going straight to the revenge game. Straight to the revenge game.
Who do we got in a revenge game here?
Because Pascal Siakam is in Toronto today.
True.
We ain't had to wait long for this one. He's in Toronto for today. Taking Pascal Siakam. This Toronto team, terrible scoring, terrible defending inside the paint. One of the bottom 5 teams in defending inside the paint. Guess who's a great in the paint scorer? One of the top, Pascal Siakam. So yeah, I think Pascal Siakam is going to be able to score. They struggle with rebounding in Toronto. I think that's somewhere where he can take advantage on the boards and get you those extra fantasy points that you're looking for. I think this is a big double-double, big scoring day for Pascal Siakam again. And what I said is an over day. If that pick and roll gets going with him and Halliburton, then I think the Raptors are cooked. So yeah, I love Pascal Siakam at $7,900.
Yeah, and if Miles Turner sits, he's midday downgrade. We're going to see some Siakam at the 5 because they're not going to – I don't think we're going to see much Oscar Tshiebwe tonight as the backup center. It's going to be Pascal and Isaiah Jackson probably starting. So Siakam at 79, small forward, power forward, eligible.
Oh, Tshiebwe, the guy that has Giannis' 62-point ball.
He does, even though we've also now all confirmed that the guy on the Milwaukee Bucks had the ball the security guard had the ball the whole time. So, shout out to Giannis for that. Jalen Johnson, 73. I think again, I am as high on Jalen Johnson as any other player in the NBA. I do think we're going to get small ball lineups with Jalen Johnson at the 5, which is why I'm a little worried about 45% of the field getting to a $3,600 Bruno Fernando. Like, I don't know if the minutes change at all for Bruno Fernando. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. On a 12-game slate, a risk I'm personally willing to take is not playing Bruno Fernando for at half the field's ownership. So, what do we think of Mobley? I want to hone in on Evan Mobley real quick. He has been so good since returning. There has obviously been some type of minutes limit. Do we think he's extended? Do we think they wait till after the All-Star break? Any limitations getting to Mobley, considering he's not playing over 30 minutes?
Well, like I said, there's always a chance that they just say, you know what, forget the minutes restriction because you're about to have a week off. We're not really pressed about that. There's always that chance. But he's been solid in that 25 to 28 minute range. And I mean, you're getting about 40 fantasy points regardless. So I'm not telling you to back off Evan Mobley at this price, not at all, because there's a possibility that he could get more minutes. And even if he doesn't get more minutes, he's showing you in his last 5 games, 44.5, 36.3, 36.6, 36.5, 37.5, 46.5. And for just good measure, there's a 48 in there as well.
Yep, just the cherry on top for Evan Mobley. I agree. I am in on Evan Mobley. Aaron Gordon, 61, someone that both you and I mentioned. I think he's over fantasy point per minute this year without Jamal Murray. I like that spot. Jabari Smith, 5,800. He's been running well, playing a lot of minutes, even with Şengün back, still got to 38 minutes. Still no Van Vliet, no Tari Eason. So I think you get to some Jabari Smith. What do we like under $5,800 in Jabari Smith? Anything that stands out to you?
Under $5,800. PJ Washington is interesting. I don't think I'm there yet, but it's interesting.
The minutes were very appealing in that Washington game.
And I think that's really what it is. It's the fact that, because I believe he came off the bench and he had 36.
No, he came off the bench in the OKC game and then started in the Washington game.
Okay, so the minutes is where you feel better at, and that he's getting 30 plus minutes there. Yep. And that could grow into fantasy production. So PJ Washington at this price is interesting, that we could get a pretty good day for somebody that's sitting there at $5,500. Other than that, I'm not really too keen on a lot of people in this tier. Asar Thompson does have some interest in me, very, very deep down. Small interest, not a lot, but I think Asar Thompson, with all the injuries and everything going on in Detroit, and the fact that I just don't think that the Phoenix Suns are going to take this game seriously. Asar, somebody who gets very, very easy looks at close to the rim by the basket. Of course, he's going to rebound. He's going to defend. That's somebody that I think could sneaky have a very good day.
Yeah, I like Asar Thompson. Weird to see just 2 rebounds next to his name. Those Thompson brothers are menaces on the glass, both of them. I do have mild interest in Kelly O. I've liked the role since arriving in Toronto. 30 and 32 fantasy points in each of those 2 games. We've seen him play alongside Jakob Poeltl a little bit in each game. We've seen him play behind Jakob Poeltl. So Kelly O, they're experimenting with him at the 4. They're experimenting him with at the 5. I do have some interest in Kelly Olynyk at the 5. I think Peyton Watson is a guy that always gets extended looks when guys are out. I know they're going to start Justin Holiday. I'd rather play someone like Peyton Watson over Justin Holiday. We didn't mention Reggie Jackson is likely going to draw the start for Denver as well. He's another guy that you could, theoretically get to if you wanted. I'm a little bit interested in Grant Williams at 4,300, despite the reports that everybody hates him. At least everybody on Dallas hates him. He's closed for Charlotte the last 2 games, and this is why I don't think we see Bruno Fernando close at all. He's closed over Nick Richards in back-to-back games, and if that's going to continue to be the case, like Fernando's not on the floor. It's just Jalen Johnson on the other side, go guard Grant Williams. But dude, Grant Williams, this is perfect for Grant Williams, who thinks he's better than he is, right? He thinks he's Draymond with like the talking, and he thinks he's like that small ball center that can facilitate and do all this stuff, and that's why he wanted to be paid from Boston. And they were like, nah, actually, we're just going to send you away. He could do that in Charlotte. He has the freedom to do that in Charlotte, and he's been pretty good. Mild interest in Grant Williams at 4,300.
Yeah, very mild interest. But I think that, if he's getting 30 plus minutes, why not? At this price, the guys that you're seeing are not getting 30 plus minutes. So if he's getting 30 plus minutes, even though he's coming off the bench, it seems like he's getting 30 plus minutes. He defends. So that means that he's going to be in the closing unit. He's able to spot up, shoot. He's able to rebound and do all this grunt work things. At this price, maybe you don't get a crazy fantasy day, but it's still really, really good. And it gives you a solid floor. I think that he has a very, very solid floor, and the ceiling could be massive because of the minutes he plays.
Yeah, and if you play Grant Williams, that will get us someone like Nikola Jokic at 11.3, who averages on the year 2 fantasy points per minute without Jamal Murray and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So if Nikola Jokic, for context, easy math here, plays 35 minutes tonight, per his average, he will score 70 fantasy points. And that is just, that's not factoring in him having like a ceiling game or playing 38 minutes, which we've seen Jokic do at times. So just throwing that out there. You might want to get back after Sabonis gave him the business a couple nights ago and took the triple-double lead away from him. And there's no Jamal Murray. Obviously, we've seen Jokic be super aggressive. So back to the question we had earlier about fading Jokic. I am personally not fading Nikola Jokic. He is at the top of my board in terms of spend-ups. He's my number 1 priority spend-up ahead of Luka. So are you in agreement here, Terrell?
I am. I think this is a very, very big Jokic game. I told you earlier. Well, I didn't say it here on this show, but the Denver Nuggets, one of my favorite plays, and I said it. I was talking about it because the travel, the amount of energy that the Kings expended last night. I just don't think that holds up for another 48 tonight. I think that it's going to be a drop off, and Jokic is going to kill them. So, yeah, I'm all over Jokic today. I think he has a great day.
Yeah, and bad defensive front court, bad defensive team in general. Sacramento is, but Sabonis, power forward by trade, center by trade. I guess that's a good way to put it. Rest of the center position, I wanted to bet a Bam triple double yesterday, and I was very close to doing so. Bam as the hub is so elite from a fantasy standpoint.
Does everything, every stat.
Per dollar, I said this yesterday. Per dollar, he was my favorite center on the board. Per dollar, he might be my favorite center on the board. Like, it's hard to put him ahead of Jokic for me, but also he's $2,000 cheaper than Jokic. So if you want to save $2,000 or $3,000, math is hard, even though I just did math. If you want to save $3,000, I don't think it's a terrible idea if you want to play Bam against 29th ranked defense without Joel Embiid this year.
Yep. I'm in agreement with you, and I actually don't like playing Bam ever. I don't like taking Bam props because Bam always lets me down, but this is a really good matchup for him. One team that I hate, but I think this player has a pretty good team is the Boston Celtics, and the news just came across Jaylen Brown officially ruled out for the game today.
Okay.
Kristaps Porzingis should be looking into an extended workload today. I think that he has a pretty solid matchup against the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think anybody really matches up with him in terms of stopping him from scoring. And now you just opened up a whole new lane of usage and opportunity with Jaylen Brown being out. Porzingis is an upgrade. Derek White is an upgrade today. We should see some more points being scored outside of Jason Tatum because he had 41 the night before. Look for his assist to be more live today and him to get other people involved as the Nets try to crash down on Jason Tatum more. So I think that Kristaps Porzingis should have a pretty solid day.
Down 2 of their top 6 because Al Horford also was ruled out earlier in the day, as we've known Boston not playing Horford on back-to-back. So what do we assume? Hauser is your 5th starter in this spot? Fill in for Jaylen Brown. I mean, Porzingis obviously fills in for Porzingis back to his starting role.
Yeah,
I think it's Hauser, right? It's probably Hauser. Yeah. Sam Hauser is $3,500 for those asking. No one is because he's been terrible as a starter this year. But he is $3,500. Is going to start. Can space the floor moderately well. It's 41%.
Everybody keeps waiting for the big Sam Hauser game, and it just doesn't show up.
Especially when he starts. I try to tell John this every time we do the show, like especially when he starts, he just doesn't fit their starting lineup. So if you want to get to Hauser, by all means do so. You brought up the Derek White point. 11% usage bump for Derek White, sans Al Horford and Jaylen Brown this year. So Derek White's season in full effect.
It seems like that's the play.
Derek White is a maniac, 1.56 fantasy points per minute. Terrell leads the team ahead of Jason Tatum. So some food for thought for those looking to pivot to some Boston tonight. Will mind you, home and home with Brooklyn. This is the second leg of a back-to-back. Keep that in the backs of your guys' minds. Let's pivot back to center. I do like the Porzingis call without Jaylen Brown. 1.17 fantasy points per minute, 26% usage for Kristaps Porzingis. No Horford, no Brown on the floor. Anything else really? I mean, Precious Achiuwa, 6,900.
Yeah. That's literally the name that I was sitting there looking at. Precious Achiuwa, 6,900.
Nice. He's going to grab 15 rebounds plus, just given what New York has. He's going to play 40 minutes. Pencil that in. He's going to be a maniac defensively. He's going to be a maniac on the glass. For me, it's just the inconsistencies with the offense. I think double-digit shots are much in order. We've seen the shot volume drop off with Bojan the last couple of games. Bojan's not there. No Bojan tonight. So I think we should get pretty good shot volume out of Achiuwa tonight. They Underdog tweeted out they have 9 available players tonight, and 3 of them are Taj Gibson, Jacob Toppin, and Charlie Brown. So expect the top 6 guys to see very heavy workloads, and Precious Achiuwa is included in that. Anything else? Like Turner's in a good spot, but we don't know if he's going to play. If Turner doesn't play, Isaiah Jackson's season. Isaiah Jackson tonight is free. Isaiah Jackson, where am I? Why am I? Did I scroll past him? I did. He is $3,700. Like I assume Isaiah Jackson were to start if Miles Turner were to be ruled out. Paul Reed's going to start, but pretty tough matchup against Bam. Nick Richards going to start. Not sure he's going to close. Here's something that I'm really interested in. I've loved Marvin Bagley in Washington.
He's been really good, man.
He has been really good. And his dad has been telling us this for a long time. His dad has been screaming it from the rooftops on X, formerly Twitter, for a long time. And no one other than his dad believed him. but he's been undeniably good when he's been extended. 28 minutes in his second game back from injury after he was struggled and was also back from injury in that first game against Philly. Now they can't go small with Kuzma, right? Like that was an option that Washington has deployed.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this is 30 plus minutes, a 30-minute double-double waiting to happen for Marvin Bagley at 5,300. I think he's one of the better per dollar centers on the board. And I can't believe I originally went past him. I'm mad at myself for that.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you look at what the lineups that New Orleans will play. Valanciunas isn't the hardball center anymore. He's getting about 20 plus minutes, like 20, 25 minutes, maybe even that. Like it's been him and Nance. And so if you're telling me that you're pairing Nance up against Bagley's going to dominate on the boards. He's going to dominate on the boards. He's going to set up in the post, and he's going to be able to go to work, and they're going to find him. So I think Bagley's going to have a pretty solid day, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. $5,300, really good price. No Kuzma. We should be in for some big minutes. And if you remember, the first two games he played in Washington post the trade, 40 minutes, back-to-back 20-point double-double. So he has that type of ceiling in his bag. Anything else at center? You ready to get out of here?
Last thing, Daniel Gafford. Got to mention Daniel Gafford. No Derek Lively. Gafford is an auto play.
So Lively has been listed questionable. So there is a chance that he plays. It is definitely worth noting that if there's not a Derek Lively sighting tonight, we saw Daniel Gafford enter the starting lineup. And I mean, just
Luka's looking at him.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
A nice piece of steak. Like, oh my gosh, man, dog. He does everything he needs to do. Great trade by Dallas. Amazing trade.
Yeah,
by Dallas.
agreed. Agreed, because now you have two pick and roll partners with Luka, no matter what it's Lively, no matter it's Gafford, that are just rolling to the rim and catching.
And that was the issue. That was the issue, is that when Lively went off, and Lively's still kind of figuring it out, but Lively's still kind of figuring it out. Kleber doesn't know what he's doing. Powell doesn't know what he's doing. No, none of their bigs knew what they're doing. Daniel Gafford knows how to run a pick and roll. I mean, it gives Luka a bump up because Luka's assists are going to get a bump up. So, like, it gives Luka a bump up. It gives Gafford a bump up. It's a perfect trade thus far. Trade thus far.
I mean, Luka 15 assists last game. I think his first, 4 possessions were lobs to Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. So,
if one guy's giving you 4 or 5 assists, then you're golden.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, good stuff. Nothing else on the injury front. Alex Caruso, game time decision. Cam Johnson will have a minutes restriction, but if we've learned anything by now, don't listen and don't believe anything Jock Vaughn says, because anything Jock Vaughn says is liable to not come true. Also, like Dorian Finney-Smith out of the rotation randomly last night. I mean, it was just an absolute mess. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, Terrell? Salute to you for joining me again on this not Friday, which I'm super sad. I'm still going to just keep harping on because I'm super sad about it. But any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, man. It's a lot of games right before the All-Star break. Go out there, play some pick'ems, play some DFS, get out there, get into some of these single game lineups, man. Get into some of these showdown lineups, like the Pacers game. I like that Wizards and the New Orleans game. I like that one. Yeah, I like that Wizards and New Orleans game as well. Get in there in some of them single game lineups for sure.
That'll do it for us here at Fantasy Alarm. We'll be back tomorrow. Actually, TBD on that, as my daughter is yelling and screaming in the background. She said no live stream tomorrow. So when she speaks, there's nothing else I could say. She ain't really even speaking. But for Terrell, I'm James. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll be in the Fantasy Alarm Discord up until roster lock. We'll catch you guys later.